Hello friends, welcome to another Smiling Colors video. I'm Smita, also known as the Shiny Nest on Instagram, and today we're making place cards. We're going to be using some Tombow products to make these really cute and simple Thanksgiving themed place cards. I'll show how you can easily use Tombow dual brush pens for watercoloring. These are very easy to make. All you need are 2 Tombow markers and a black calligraphy pen. In this video, I'll share how you can get all of your letters to line up at the same height. So let's get started, shall we? Here's what you'll need. You'll need a good watercolor paper. I'm using a Canson watercolor pad. I'm just going to be using 1 sheet of paper, and we'll be making 4 place cards out of this 1 sheet of paper. You'll also need some burlap paper, or you can also use real burlap. I like the burlap paper because it has a paper backing and I can cut off small pieces without worrying about the threads fraying. This is really useful, and I've made so many projects with this one stack. It comes with 24 sheets and I think this will last me forever. Next, you'll also need a good adhesive. I'm using the Mono Permanent Adhesive Plus. This is a nice tape runner just for the paper here. We're going to be using 2 Tombow markers. Tombow marker number 933, that's the orange, and marker number 173, this is the green. These 2 colors are actually part of the bright set, so if you don't own all the colors, just these 2 basic colors will do today. You'll also need a bowl of water and a paintbrush. I'm using a number 8 round paintbrush. This is a watercolor paintbrush by Winsor & Newton. It's really soft and nice, and I love the way it moves the water. I'm using a calligraphy pen to write my names today, and this is a great one by Tombow. It is the dual tip one. It has a gray and a black tip, and I'll talk more about it later in the video. Finally, you'll also need 3 basic supplies: a paper trimmer, a card creaser, this is just a bone folder, it gives a nice sharp crease, and a pair of scissors. Okay, now let's start by making our place cards. My sheet of paper is 9 by 12 inches, and I'm going to trim it in the middle, which means at 4.5 inches. Then I'm going to trim it again in half on the other way at 6 inches. This way I'll be able to make 4 place cards out of 1 sheet of paper. Now you can actually make double the number of place cards if you just trim this to be half. Make your design and then stick this onto regular cardstock. But I'm going to use the watercolor paper itself. I like how heavy it is, and it's going to look really nice as a card. I usually make my place cards to measure 2 by 3 inches, but today's cards are a little larger. They measure 4.5 inches by 3 inches. That's because I didn't really want to waste the watercolor paper, and I figured just having an even size would be enough. So I'm going to quickly fold all of these here. Now, using a bone folder like this is really nice while making cards because it'll give a nice sharp fold line or crease, and your cards will stand up really nice instead of just flopping over otherwise. So always invest in one. These are really inexpensive. You can get really high quality Teflon ones, regular ones, anything. It also helps from preventing a nail polish to come onto the crease, which I have done many times. So I've learned it the hard way to use a bone folder. Okay, there. We have 4 cards all ready. So now let's start painting our design. We're going to start our design by cutting a small rectangular piece of burlap paper. We want this to form the bottom of our pumpkin, so I'm going to give it a slight curved shape. It doesn't have to be particularly correct or neat. It just needs to look a little like a pumpkin. So now this is the base of our pumpkin. We're going to draw the top of our pumpkin with the Tombow dual brush pen. Place your burlap onto the center of the card. That looks good. Using your Tombow dual brush pen, kind of draw in the rest of the pumpkin shape. It does not have to be perfect. Then remove it, and we're going to add the center, go outwards, and then complete this one just like that. See how wonky and dirty it is? That's fine. That actually looks good. Next, with the green pen, this is the 173 number, I am going to draw a stalk and a curly Q. That's it. You could use brown to color in the stalk, but the green works fine, and I'll show you why in a second. Next, dip your paintbrush in water and then slowly move the orange color around. The Tombow gel brush pens are water-based, and hence when you add water to your project, they react and give you the soft watercolor look. Now you can see there's a little bit of orange here. I'm going to drag the orange into the green and make a messy green that looks almost like a brown. And I'm also going to soften this little curly Q we have. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but I like a watercolor look. So I'm going to repeat the same few steps and create another card for you here. So cut your burlap to size, center it onto the front of the card, hold it in place, then with your orange gel brush pen, draw in the rest of the pumpkin. That one turned out to be crooked, but we're going to work with it, because sometimes pumpkins and gourds are crooked and that looks good too. Draw in more lines to make your pumpkin. With the green marker, draw in a stalk and some vines. Dip your paintbrush into water and then slowly spread the orange color around. When you use watercolor paper, the colors move so much better than on regular cardstock. This technique works best on watercolor paper and mixed media papers. And look at that. Okay, I'm going to take some of my orange color into the stem, make it a little dirty, and soften the curly Q. So I'm going to let this dry, and meanwhile I'm going to go back to my first one, and using my tape run, I'm using the Permanent Adhesive Plus. I'm going to just adhere my burlap into place. Okay, now I've gone ahead and created 4 place cards. So today I'm going to be using a calligraphy pen for my names. This one is the twin tip pen. This is a brush calligraphy pen very similar to the Fudenosuke pen. This one has a black tip and a gray tip. Both are brush tips, so you can do brush calligraphy with either tip. Whenever you buy a Fudenosuke pen, it always comes with the stencil or guide, and I'm going to be using that for my lettering today. So this is my guide. I'm going to center the guide with the middle line lining up with the stalk of my pumpkin, and I'm just going to do a simple basic capital lettering here. J O H N. Sorry, I can't letter and talk. I'm very likely to write the wrong name. And that's it. Okay, so now let's try that again on this card. This time I'm going to letter the name Jennifer. It's much longer. I'm going to line up, and here you can see it much better. I'm going to line up the guide, and I'm going to find the center. Sounds good. I'm going to hold my lettering guide in place, get my pen out. So this is a much longer name, so I'm going to start right at the edge and start my lettering. I'm going to place my letters much closer than before. And that's how it came out. We went a little outside the pumpkin on the right, but I think it's still pretty centered and looks pretty good. This was so much fun for me to make, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, friends. Happy crafting!